If you or someone you know is a victim of human trafficking, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm Ricky Jabruggi, and joining me tonight is producer Derek Relaford. And how are we doing tonight, Derek?
It's okay. I had some electricity go out my house this week. They first told me it was going to cost me I have to get like a whole new circuit breaker. Mine's from like the 50s, but it's like $5,000 that I have to pay to get it fixed. But like they did, because they were like, they don't make these parts for your circuit breaker anymore. But he like looked in his van for like an hour and he found like this 30-year-old fuse and it worked. And so far we have power. He said we should be good for a while, but we do need to upgrade. So yeah, it cost $700 though to get a. Yeah, it was bad. So I'm poor, Ricky. How are you doing? You had to spend some money today too.
Yeah, I had to. First, I want to apologize again for not being able to do the show last week. I was having some issues with my computer, and I still kind of am, but it seems to be cooperating more tonight than it did last week. Took it to the computer doctor today, and he cleaned it out real good and didn't find any viruses or malware, which I was glad to hear that. But he says he thinks the hard drive might be going a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it back down there tomorrow, because when I got it back home tonight, got it all hooked up and everything, and
started messing up again.
It started messing up a little bit, and I got the stupid JavaScript error, and I come to find out it was connected to Discord, so I got rid of Discord, and that seems to have improved the computer.
Yeah, I'm getting a nice clean. There's obviously something going on, probably the hard drive, but if anybody's interested in helping Ricky recoup some of these costs, because he does all of it on his own, patreon.com/KMUpod. Every little bit helps. He has to actually buy a new hard drive tomorrow, because the hard drive that we bought the computer with Back Home Media money. How long have you had that computer? Not long.
Since July, I think.
So like July, and then but we bought an old computer. It was new, but it was old. So yeah, obviously we're gonna have a little bit of work done to it. But if anybody wants to help us out, doing this project.
Yeah, because tomorrow it's going back to the computer doctor, and they're going to put me in a new hard drive. So that's going to run me about not quite $250. So yeah. So I'm looking at getting my laptop that I used before this, and I'm looking at having them do the same thing for that when I get my bonus money from work, and it's going to set me back another $250 to get my laptop going again.
Yeah,
I'm going to have it as a backup. So.
Always stuff going on. Raimundo's wants to know if we have anything about Eli.
Eli, what's his last name, please?
Yeah, do you have a last name on that, Raimundo?
I just did get an email stating that Gavin Phillips has been located, so we were going to actually cover him tonight. Yeah, just got the email just a few seconds ago stating that he had been located safe. That's what made me pause when I was talking, was I was reading it in the bottom corner of my screen. I was like, oh,
well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. So I just got his going this afternoon, and he was found tonight.
Yep, oh, so that was that tall kid, huh?
Yeah, the 6'2".
Yeah.
He was just located. Actually, he returned on his own.
Nice. It's always good whenever people are just like, okay, this is a bad idea. I'm going to go home,
Yeah. Good deal, Gavin. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Glad to hear that. It's always good.
All right. Well, we do have a tremendous amount of cases to get to tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started. Same rules that we do every week. Please share, like, follow, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. If you have a case that we haven't covered tonight and you think we need to cover it, throw a mention into the chat. We have Sarah backstage here in a minute. She's on her way. She's right there. We have a producer backstage that's going to be looking up cases and updates on any of the cases you guys want us to cover. So feel free to sound off in the chat. And let's go ahead and get to some cases, Ricky. Tell us a little bit about Alexander.
Yeah, I do want to add to what you were just saying, though. Let us know about any cases that you guys want us to look into and things like that. And tonight, I won't be able to make the flyer on the flyer, update anything to cover it tonight because of my computer issues. Like I said, I'm taking it back to the computer doctor tomorrow, And because of my work schedule, I probably won't be able to get it back from the computer doctor until after I get off work on Thursday afternoon. I'm going to shoot for sooner than that if I can, but we'll have to see how that goes. So with that being said, let's do some cases here.
Do them.
Technology, you got to love it as long as it works.
Exactly.
Okay, Alexander, hopefully this is Getting Esquivel. He is missing from Garden City, Kansas. Been missing since December 26th of 2020. 16 years old. He is 6 foot tall. He weighs 150 pounds. He has dark brown hair and brown eyes. He went missing about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He may also use the names Alex Kiesel. I'm guessing that's how that's pronounced, or Xavier Kiesel. He was last known to be wearing a black hoodie and black sweats with a red stripe. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Garden City, Kansas Police Department at 620-276-1300 or Garden City, Finney County Crime Stoppers at 620-275-7807 or by texting the word GC TIP and your information to 847-411. That's TIP 411. Or, of course, KBI 785-296-4017.
That's where the name looks really familiar. The Goating or Getting or however you say it, it is a unique name. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm Garden City's my old stomping grounds, and that's a name from around that area for sure. So yeah, I'm learning along with you guys in the chat that I have somebody from a place I like to consider one of my hometowns. I have several. I've bounced around a lot, Ricky, but one of my hometowns, Garden City, will always have a place in my heart. We got one of ours missing over there, 16-year-old. So, Ricky, terrible picture, but we got to do what we got to do. You know, sometimes we don't have the best photos to use, but you know, there's a lot of glare on this one. It's really kind of hard to see him, but you can kind of make out, you know.
And I did notice Raimundo, he was asking about Eli. He was referring to Elizabeth Renteria, a 17-year-old that was found deceased in a burning SUV down in Wichita.
Oh, wow.
And I've been trying to find out if they are still actively investigating that so I can get a flyer going on her. And talking to Elizabeth's mom, she was telling me that for some odd reason that police apparently had ruled it a suicide. I'm like, okay, they found her deceased in a burning car and they're calling it a suicide. They did arrest a woman in connection with it, but then they turned around and released her. So, I mean, I don't
you know, it's like I'm learning, man. I do a lot of private investigating. You know, nobody pays me. I do it on my own. You know, I sent you some pretty interesting stuff last night. Yeah. But the more like I investigate and read about like these homicides and stuff, it's almost like and this is not a disrespect towards the police. This is just how our judicial system works. It's almost like you have to get caught in the act doing it. Like for a lot of things to happen, you know, like we have a car that's on fire and they're like, oh, well, she set her own car on fire. Like, first of all, worst way to go. If I understand people check out all the time, you know, people make that horrible decision. Like, it's up to them. People make that decision to end their life all the time. I just don't see a lot of people that are like, I'll do it by burning my car. You know, it's just, you don't see it, you know, it's not a common thing. So, but then again, you know, the police can only go by what they know. And if they don't have enough to hold anybody in there, you know, if they don't have enough to say it's anything other than a suicide, then, you know, you're kind of at the will of what the police know and what the public's willing to share with the police. You know,
and I don't know. I've never seen anything in any news reports talking about, you know, autopsy results. Was there something in the autopsy that led them to believe suicide possibly? And Raimundo's saying police are trying to say suicide, but the autopsy cannot determine that. So her body must have been pretty badly burned when they got it out of the SUV, is my guess.
So what town was this in?
It was in Wichita.
Okay.
I believe it was Wichita, yes.
Well, yeah, we will. Sarah has some information about that. She's going to share with us in private chat here in a little bit.
Okay.
We are going to move on to our next case. Thanks everybody for again, sound off in the comments. We want to know what we need to cover.
Yeah, I love the interaction with everybody. I really do.
We will get the most up to date public information on that case for sure. Catherine says they don't want to work there. They don't want to do the work they are paid to do. You know, Catherine, it really feels like that sometimes. It's really hard to do it, but just try to put yourself in the shoes of law enforcement and because this is one thing I know. I talk to law enforcement often about unsolved cases that I'm looking for answers on, and they want to help, but the public, for the most part, does not want to talk. Snitches get stitches. You're not supposed to talk to the police, and that is why most of the time it seems like the police don't do their job. It's because everybody around town's talking. Everybody knows who did it. Everybody knows it, but nobody is going to the police station and telling it to them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they can't go off based of stuff they see on Facebook chat or stuff they hear as a rumor. They have to have somebody come up and report this. This is something I know is a fact that happened. And so that's, but Catherine, it's a great, you live in America, thank God, and you're allowed to have your opinion. But I share that feeling with you often. I get upset with the police. I'm saying, oh, why aren't you? But you kind of have to do what you do. Yes,
and I do hear that
burning.
I do hear that a lot too with working with people with missing family members. They say they feel like the police aren't doing enough and things like that. And I'm sure in some cases that might be true, but it's hard to really know what they're doing behind the scenes as far as are they pinging a cell phone? Are they trying to, track this lead down, track that lead down, and so I'm sure they're doing more than what most people realize they are behind the scenes. They just really can't say. So because they don't want to tip their hand as to what they are doing. So they don't tip somebody off and say, oh crap, I better turn my phone off so they can't.
Put it this way too. And I'll cover that comment one more time. I think you're right, Catherine. There probably is a couple officers in the area that probably aren't, the greatest at their job. I think they have that with every profession. You're going to have, some people that are great, some people that really shouldn't be there. But I guarantee you there's a lot of detectives and a lot of officers that would love to solve this case. They just can't, they have to do things but I used to think the same thing with missing people in my hometown and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's like the cops don't care. And then I started interviewing cops, later on in life, and they're like, no. I would love to solve that case. I've heard all the rumors too, but I don't have any facts. Right. We can't go off of rumors. We have to go off of facts. Nobody has presented us facts, so therefore I can't do anything. Right. But don't get it twisted. I would solve this thing tomorrow if I could put that on my resume. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't charge somebody on rumor, and you definitely can't take it to court or trial on rumor either. So,
we will definitely cover that more next week. And if Sarah says she's got a little bit of information for us about that case also.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sherry Holcomb says anything new on the murder Asaria?
Murder by Asaria, that would be Lori Heimer, and I have not heard a word. It has been like stone cold quiet, not a thing. It would really be nice to hear a break in that case or something. It really would, because I would love to see that one get solved. Yeah.
We appreciate all the comments. Sound off in the comments. Let us know if you want us to cover any cases, or maybe tell us about cases we aren't covered yet. Hey, Ricky, tell us about Alyssa Wilson.
Okay, let me write down a name here real quick. I'm going to write down Elizabeth Renteria so I don't forget that name. And I have talked with her mom in the last few weeks, and I told her I'm desperately trying to find out if that's still an open investigation or what the status of it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Alyssa Wilson, she's missing from Edwardsville, Kansas, since December 29th of 2020. 17 years old. She's 5'9". She weighs 130 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen around 10 a.m. on the 29th in the 200 block of Haynes Street in Edwardsville. If you have any information regarding Alyssa's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Edwardsville, Kansas Police Department at 913-441-6983 or 913-596-3000, or of course KBI at 785-296-4017. And
that's new. That's December 29th. That's pretty new.
Yeah. Just, Alyssa, whatever you're dealing with, man, don't try to deal with it alone. Reach out and ask for help. Call the runaway hotline. Call an adult you trust. Call somebody, let them know you're okay and that you're needing some help. You're welcome, Ramondo.
Yep. Getting cold. We say it every week. It's getting cold, and even if it wasn't cold, being with 17 without a plan is not a good look. You gotta.
Heck, it was 55 degrees here today.
Yeah. Tell us about David Harris Jr.
Right.
David Wayne Harris Jr.
Yeah. He is missing from Fredonia, Kansas since December 22nd of 2020. He's 56 years old. He is 6'1", 220 pounds. He's got gray hair and brown eyes. He is a resident of Fredonia, and he is also a military veteran. I was specifically asked to include that in.
Yeah, for sure.
Flyer.
Thanks for his service.
Yeah, he suffers from a history of brain trauma, so he may appear to be in a confused state when he's approached. He was last seen wearing a short sleeve shirt and no coat, camouflage coveralls, and white and yellow shoes with no socks. If you have any information regarding David's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call 911 immediately or call the Fredonia, Kansas Police Department at 620-378-2369 or KBI at 785-296-4017.
Sorry about the typing, folks. This is what we do here. We are live on the internet. I'm glad they told you to put in there that he was a veteran. Like that's important stuff. Like that guy went and fought for this country. Yeah. He suited up. And even if he didn't, even if it was just a guy that just didn't go to the service, it's a missing person. It hasn't been too terribly long, so there's still, a lot of hope that maybe he just, took a walk. We see that, we hope for that a lot here on this show, that people just went and took a walk. So it hasn't been too terribly long. There's a good chance that maybe he just, like we say, take a walk, just go out, leave everything behind for a little while. And I've done it before, maybe not for an amount of time for people to make a missing folder, but I have definitely just left my house for 6 hours before, just like not tell anybody, right. Just leave. It happens. Sometimes life gets a little heavy and people just take off and go find them, clear their thoughts. So if that's the case, if you see this guy, right. Call somebody. People are worried about him. People are looking for him. And then if you've heard anything odd or suspicious about this name or any kind of stories, obviously that's something you're going to want to share with the law enforcement as well. Basically anybody that's heard the name David Wayne Harris Jr., anybody that has seen this man in the last couple of weeks, definitely need to contact law enforcement, because people need to know where he is. A lot of people are worried about him.
Right, definitely. And hopefully he is found safe. That would be awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Sorry about my phone, guys.
It's part of the show, man. It's part of the show.
I know. Always going off for some reason.
Thank you, Debbie, for watching. Yeah,
thank you, Debbie.
That is a big part of what we do this for. We try to. Yeah. These people can't search for themselves or tell people, so that's, we try to do that for that. And we've had this name a couple of times. Dietrich Foster, still missing from Southeast Kansas. Yeah. Governor set a $5,000 reward. Sarah, can you get us the latest info on Dietrich Foster? We're going to go ahead and go into our next case. Thank you so much for watching.
I believe on Dietrich's latest flyer, I did include that $5,000 reward information, I believe.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's a big deal. You throw some money at it, somebody might be willing to talk if there's like some compensation in it. Like right now, they're just like, what do I have to gain besides, stirring up dust? It's like, well, $5,000 might set you up a little bit, seriously. And sometimes that's what it takes. And that's fine. I'm glad that whoever put up the funds for it did it. And that's all good. Tell us about Donald Goodman. This is a little older.
Yeah, it is a little bit older. Let's see. He is missing from Topeka, Kansas. He's been missing since July 25th of 1993. At the time he went missing, he was 35. He would now be 62. He's 5'8" tall. He weighs 145 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. He was seen at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon on July 25th of 93. He was riding his bicycle through Gage Park at the time. He's never been heard from again. His bicycle was his only means of transportation. It was discovered at his residence shortly afterwards. The door to Donald's home was unlocked. His eyeglasses, cigarettes, and lighter were found inside the residence, and there was no evidence of a struggle. Donald has burn scars on his back. He has a bullet wound scar on one of his pinky fingers. Donald has additional scars on his inner right arm and on the bottom of his lower lip. He wears a partial set of dentures. He wears eyeglasses. He does walk with a unique gait. Donald was a cigarette smoker at the time of his disappearance. His nickname is Don. He is mentally disabled. He's required to take medication to control seizures, but he was not carrying his medication at the time of his disappearance. And if you have any information regarding his disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9247 or 785-368-9200, or the KBI at 785-296-4017.
That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, it was.
Kurt Cobain was alive. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
That's, it's, I hate seeing a missing flyer, a missing poster, and you can just tell by the age of the photos and that were the photos that they provide that you're like, oh, this guy's been missing for quite some time. Like you can just tell by these photos they were taken that at least that long ago.
Yeah. Somebody commented on this flyer when I added the two. I used to just have the one with the glasses, and I got a hold of the ones without, and I added them. And somebody commented how different he looks in each photo, and he does. I will give him that. He does.
Yeah, hopefully, somebody has to know something. People don't just vanish. We can all agree that Donald Ray Goodman didn't just disappear. Like he didn't just cease to exist. Didn't happen at all.
Suspected homicide for Dietrich Foster.
Yep.
And Denise Johnson, thank you both so much for all your work. You've helped us locate many missing kids and get them to safety. You're quite welcome, Denise. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Denise.
Yeah. All right.
Now we're going to go ahead and go on to Doris Branson. Tell us about Doris Branson.
This one,
and unfortunately, no photo, but Ricky will tell that story.
Yeah, I was messaged and asked about doing a flyer for her, and I searched high and low all over the internet, and I enlisted the help of Derek's mom to help me try to locate a photo for Doris, and I have not been able to find one. And the person that messaged me about her had also tried to see if law enforcement had one, and they didn't have one. So I had to use what I could find, and unfortunately that was her headstone. But she was killed in her rural Franklin County, Kansas home on March 20th of 1992. She died of blood loss from multiple stab wounds to the face, neck, chest, and abdomen. Her husband called 911 at 7:53 in the evening that Friday and told authorities that he found his wife in the hallway near the kitchen, just inside a doorway from an attached garage. When he arrived home from his job at as a Kansas City, I say this right, lithographer. I hope I said that correctly.
Okay.
Reports indicated a neighbor had spotted Doris Branson near her mailbox late that Friday afternoon. Investigators determined that Doris was killed during a 3-hour time window between the last time she was seen alive and when her body was discovered. Doris and Gary lived in a ranch-style home in the 2400 block of Shawnee Road, northwest of Ottawa, Kansas. Investigators believe that Doris's murder wasn't random. Now, this information I did get from news reports off the internet, so that's where this information came from, just so you know. If you have any information regarding Doris's death, please call the Franklin County, Kansas Crime Stoppers at 888-311-8477, or you can submit a tip through the Franklin County, Kansas Crime Stoppers Facebook account, or text a tip to 274-637. Begin text with keyword Franklin, or you can go to online at www.tipsoft.com, or call the KBI at 800-572-7463.
So is this a situation where there was like never any leads or anything? Like it was just straight up her husband found her, and that she was like, I'm guessing, already deceased when he found her? Like, yeah,
she was already deceased. I believe if I remember the articles correctly, I don't remember if they said they had a person of interest in mind or not. I don't remember, but it didn't sound like they had any solid leads or solid suspects anyway.
And I've never even heard of this town, Franklin County. What was it? Is that like a town or?
Well, Franklin County is the actual county, and it was, like I said, it was northwest of Ottawa, Kansas. Excuse me. So that would be the closest town to where I guess they lived in a rural area. So, rural Franklin County. So the closest town to them was Ottawa, Kansas. So,
yeah,
around that area. But it's been. Let's see, 28 years, almost 29 years, since this has happened. So, I realized that maybe back then people may have been afraid to speak up because they may have been threatened or worried about retaliation or whatever. But, it's been 28, almost 29 years. It's time to do the right thing and speak up and let investigators know what knowledge that you have of what may have happened and who may have been responsible. And give them that tip that will point them in the direction of who may have done it.
Yeah, and I'm reading an article here about Doris here, and it says that they interviewed the officer and they asked him, what was what's the hang up, and he was like, well, the biggest drawback is that she was murdered in a rural area, and that's here at Back Home Media we have a sister show that we're launching soon called If You Want to Get Away with Murder, and it's not about people getting away with murder because of bad. It's just that it's really hard to solve crimes in small towns because people don't talk. Nobody talks. Like just like Ricky said, it's to the point like where you could hear that somebody and care about did something terrible, and you're more worried about their future than you are what the terrible thing they did, and that's the thing that you run into and stuff. But basically, yeah, she was killed in a rural area. And it's really hard to solve crime. I mean, look it up. No, actually, I tell you that, look it up, but you can't. There's hardly anything. This is one article I found about this. This should be in a lot more articles. This is a very, especially in the time, the time frame where it happened, how random it was. This has to be the only time this has happened in that area in a very long time. But the thing is it's a small town and it doesn't get a lot of media, and that's the thing. That's what this other show we're doing is about. It's just a lot of cold cases that and it's not anybody's fault. It's just they happened in small towns, and it's just really hard to get anything going on something like that.
Right. Definitely.
But if anybody has any information about Doris Elaine York Branch, you ever heard anything, you ever read anything, contact somebody. I mean, this has been too long. 92.
Yeah, let's help get her and her family some justice. They deserve it.
She says Ottawa is south of Lawrence.
Yeah.
Okay, I live in Arizona now, but being like a lifelong Kansas resident, you'd think I'd know more about the geography. But if it's not on a major highway, I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Tell us about Hannah Schaefer.
All right. Let me get her.
She hasn't been missing very long.
No, she's missing from Pratt, Kansas. Been missing since December 28th of this year. She's 16. She is 5'5" tall. She weighs 190 pounds. She has brown hair and hazel eyes. It's believed she may still be in the local Pratt area, or she may be in the Wichita area. If you have any information regarding Hannah's disappearance, or of her whereabouts, please call the Pratt, Kansas Police Department at 620-672-5551. Or the KBI at 785-296-4017.
We got two. The one on the far right looks like maybe a filtered picture. So that if you see anybody online with like a new profile that looks like that, that's what we're looking for there. That's like
I mainly used it just to show that she does wear glasses and what she would look like with glasses. I'm not fond of the filter.
Well, and honestly, man, most people don't meet in person anymore, man. Like somebody could be talking to her on on some app, and that's the digital version of Hannah Schaefer. So that's what she looks like in her online profile. So it's important to have that out there. Over on the left, it looks like we caught her on a day where she didn't use filters. And so that's what, so we're looking for both people here. If you're somebody who, does things online, if you see Hannah Schaefer and you see somebody that looks like that in any kind of internet area or chat area, both, we're looking for both people here because they both exist. There's real life Hannah on the left and then there's the digital version on the right. So
the middle and the left picture are actually the same. I just showed her with her long hair, and then I tightened it in on her face to get a better idea of her face. So
yeah. So if
but
anybody has any info,
Hannah, if you're out there listening or see this, don't try to tackle any problems you're dealing with alone. Reach out and let somebody help you out. Let somebody know you're all right.
Yeah, at least call somebody somebody you can trust, teacher, a parent, a friend, somebody you can trust.
Definitely.
I'm sure you have a few people in your life that you can really lean on and you trust. So contact somebody, let them know you're safe. People are worried sick. Tell us about Randy Leach. And by the way, we have a lot of cases tonight, so please share the show. And thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and tell us about Randy.
Yeah, this one, there's a lot going on with this case right now, so I'll get into all that after I cover the basics of his flyer here. He's been missing from Linwood, Kansas since April 15th of 1988. He was 17 when he went missing. He would now be 50. 6'3", 220 pounds, brown hair and blue eyes. He was reported missing on April 16th. He had a 12:30 a.m. curfew at the time he vanished, and he did usually honor it. He never usually missed that. He was very respectful of his parents. He left his home at 6:30 p.m. to attend a friend's pre-graduation party in a rural area 5 miles east of her residence on April 15th. Before arriving at the party, he stopped at Stout's convenience store and he purchased some candy, 2 sodas, and some gas. He talked to some friends, and then he went to DeSoto to check on his car that he was restoring, which was a 67 Mustang. As a result of these errands, Randy did not arrive at the party until between 9:30 and 10 o'clock that night. His parents did not realize that he didn't make it home until they woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning on the 16th. They first thought he had been in a car accident and called one of his friends and said she hadn't heard from him. Randy's parents then contacted police. Investigators went to the site of the party. They'd found that it had already been cleaned up and there was no evidence to be found. Witnesses at the party believe Randy departed between 1:15 and 2 in the morning, but no one actually saw him leave. At the time he was last seen, he was too drunk to walk straight. And apparently one of his friends had actually gotten his keys from him, and I guess he was trying to find his keys at the time as well. He apparently left driving his mother's gray four-door 1985 Dodge 600 sedan with Kansas license plate LVJ 8721. He never returned home and has not been heard from again. He was carrying about $50 on him when he disappeared, and the vehicle that he was driving has never been located either. If you have any information regarding Randy's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call Leavenworth County Sheriff's Office at 800-572-7463 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And as I mentioned, there is a lot going on with this case right now. I've been watching some YouTube videos that have come out in the last couple of weeks. There's a couple different YouTube channels. One's called, oh my goodness, Adventures with Purpose.
Okay.
And Jared and Sam and Dan, they're scuba divers. And they go in and they search waterways to try to find missing persons. And they've actually gone to Linwood and met with Randy's parents and talked with them. And they're going to go back, I believe, this month or next month, and they're going to do some searching of some waterways there in Linwood to see if they can potentially find Randy or the car. There's a creek they're going to be focusing on, and I believe a river they're going to be focusing on as well.
As soon as you said the car was missing too, my first question I wrote down to ask you after you were done was, is there any water around Linwood?
Yeah, there was a creek that apparently he had to go over to go home. So there are some assumptions or thought that if he was intoxicated, maybe he, missed a turn or a curve or whatever and missed the bridge and went down into the water or whatever. But they're going to look at that. And Adventures with Purpose is actually teaming up with another YouTube channel, Profiling Evil, that's ran by Mike King and Chris McDonough. And they're doing, those two guys are doing the legwork on looking at the geography and things like that and trying to help investigate from that standpoint. They're both retired police officers and have lots and lots of investigative experience. So they're working together with Adventures with Purpose to try to help bring Randy home too. And there's a lot going on with that right now. And they're hoping to really find something when they're down there looking in the water. So I'm going to keep watching for that and see what comes of that.
Was there ever any rumors of Randy being mixed up with anything weird, or has it always just been like he kind of was just a regular guy and just disappeared one day? I mean, he's 6'3", 220. He's hard to go missing. It's hard to miss that guy.
Right.
He's a big guy.
There was rumors regarding that time. They called it the Satanic Panic area where there was a lot of talk of satanic cults and stuff going on around in that particular area of Kansas. And one guy did come forward and said he was abducted and taken to this cave. And when he was taken into this cave, there was like strange writing and pentagrams on the walls of the cave. And he saw the nude body of a man hanging from chains from this cave. And he was pretty sure, supposedly, that it was Randy. And the police eventually did go out and check the cave. But when they went and checked the cave, they didn't find anything in it. And my understanding is since then, that cave has been filled in. Law enforcement ordered it filled in. So I don't know.
I grew up in a small town in Kansas, man, and you always hear about Yeah, my uncle says that if you go over to this part of this county, at 2 o'clock in the morning on this night, you'll see like a seance or like some witchcraft stuff. And I'm just like, I mean, you hear it in every little small town you go
Right.
to. I heard it
Right.
about Kenton, Oklahoma, Boise City, Oklahoma. Every town had a satanic cult or something. And a lot of times it was pinned on a lot of the missing people and the unsolved homicides were, you're right, the satanic panic thing a lot of times. And I don't know. I think that's I think, that probably exists. There are probably people out there that are religious enthusiasts. I mean, look at David Koresh in Waco, Texas. There's obviously people out there that take worshiping God a little too far, and they're making people drink the Kool-Aid and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, that sounds a little far-fetched. Like, and first of all, like, I don't know. I would like to interview the person that made that claim and be like, okay, so you're in the cave. There's satanic paintings and everything everywhere, which, by the way, aren't there when the police go look. But there's all these satanic pentagrams, all this stuff, and there's a man who you believe to be Randy Wayne Leach hanging there.
Yeah.
And why would they let you walk away from that? Like,
yeah, I know.
I mean, that's bad guy 101, Ricky. There's no witnesses. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, unless you had like some proof of that, I would believe it if I had some type of proof. But I mean, just somebody just saying that, and then there's no sign of any kind of foul play in the cave. I don't know, but
well, supposedly the guy was either drunk or under the influence of something at the time too, so they kind of didn't give it too much weight because he was not in a completely coherent state, I guess.
My thing is how if there's water by Linwood and this happened, he's been missing since '88. Like, how has the water not been searched yet? And thank God these guys are going to search the water.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to get over there and get into the water to see what they do find.
And a lot of times, man, you'll have missing people and they'll be missing for 30 years, and then finally somebody will just look in a body of water that was on their way home from work and like, oh, there they are.
Yeah. And these guys are good at what they do. The Adventures with Purpose. I was watching a video of theirs where they went into this river and they pulled this car out and, they were, yeah, we got it out. And then next thing, Jared's looking in the car and he's like, cut the camera. There's a body in the car. And it turned out it was a missing person that had been missing for a while. So they were able to close a missing persons case with that. So, hopefully, and they've found other ones since then as well. So
Robin says this is 20 miles west of her.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Robin, you've heard something. You get close. I bet you guarantee. Well, no, I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to think there's any foul play here, man. If there's a bridge and water, and he was drunk,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
They're not sure whether he drove the car himself. So there was some other speculation: did he drive the car himself, or did somebody put him in the car and then drive him away? They don't.
See, my thing is like people in Linwood would know. Like people would know. Like, did Randy Leach have any issues with anybody in 1988? Yeah. Was he having problems with anybody? Was he getting threatened? Did he know something about somebody? Like it just there's no telling. But I would definitely put my money on the lake for sure. That's what I would do.
And the Leaches were running into things like people would call them up and say, "Hey, here's what we know." They would relay it on to the police. The police would go out and talk to the person, and they would be like, "Oh, we didn't tell them that."
Yeah. What I'm saying, man, small town, people don't talk.
Yeah. I know several years ago, the Leaches, they went to law enforcement to have them open the files for them so they could see exactly what they knew about Randy's case and stuff. And they refused to do that, citing it was an active case. So they filed a lawsuit against law enforcement to get them to open the files, and they lost that lawsuit. So,
it's that makes me think that there might be some foul play if the police aren't being 100% like, we'll let you see what we have, because if it was like, oh, we're looking for this guy, he's missing, like that makes me think that maybe they have the idea that there could potentially be some foul play. Anyway, thoughts and prayers out to Randy Leach's family, right? Randy Leach himself, hopefully that long time.
Yeah, I feel in situations like that there needs to be more transparency, but I realize there's certain things they can't release for fear of spooking a potential suspect or tipping their hand on.
But then they get to a point where 1988 was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
I think we're getting to Hail Mary status. Like, well, okay, let's just put it all out there and see if anybody knows anything. Hail Mary.
Yeah.
We don't want to mess the case up. Well, no offense, officer, but you guys have had 40 years and we haven't gotten anywhere. Nothing against you. It's because people won't talk.
Yeah.
But let's just put it out there. And then maybe people will talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I'd like to see people do that. Tell us a little bit about Sasha.
I will do that, but I do want to say one thing though regarding Randy, real quick. Now, this was 32 years ago, that he went missing, and like it shows there, a lot of those kids at that party at that time were 17, 18, years old. They're all 49, 50, 51 years old now, and I understand back then, teenagers, they probably didn't want to talk or were scared to talk or maybe even threatened if they did talk, by somebody. I mean, nobody knows for sure, but it's been 32 years. So, all you guys and gals out there that were 17, 18 years old, you guys are as old as I am, almost. I'm a little bit older. I'll be 54 here in a few months. But, it's time to start talking. If you were at that party and you know what happened or you saw what happened or anything like that, it's time to start talking and giving his folks some closure, because I know all they want is to know what happened to Randy and to be able to find his body if he is deceased so they can lay him to rest properly. They're getting up there in age. His dad's on oxygen around the clock now. And they just want to know what happened to Randy so they can put him to rest. And it's time to give him those answers. So if there's anybody out there that was at that party and you know something, let law enforcement know. Let the KBI know. It's time to close this case after 32 years.
And if you were at that party, you might get a call from Derek Relaford in the next 6 months, because I just took a personal interest in this case. And I'm one of those guys that doesn't go away. So I'm mad with you, Ricky. It's been 32 years. It's enough time. Enough's enough. And you're right. If he was leaving a party, somebody knows more than they're telling. And that's obviously why the police aren't saying anything. So obviously this is a little fishy. If it was literally just, he just left and we never saw him again, I don't see why the police would withhold anything. So obviously, in my opinion, this is a little shady. So Ricky's right. If you're in the Linwood area, if you were at that party on April 15th, 1988, go ahead and spit it out. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
All right. Yes. Are we ready for Sasha now?
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, no, I just really wanted to put that out there about Randy because it is a sad deal and it needs to be solved. But anyway, moving on to Sasha Brooks Kosminski. I hope I said that correctly. She's missing from Newton, Kansas. Been missing since December 16th of 2020. She's 36 years old. She's 5'5". She weighs 165 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Sasha's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Newton, Kansas Police Department at 316-284-6030 or Harvey County, Kansas Communications Center at 316-283-4190. Or, of course, KBI 785-296-4017. And people have questioned about the center photo, why there's black around it like that. Well, that picture was originally turned to the right some, so it was angled, and I did a little bit of moving it around to where it's straighter.
Yeah.
And to do that, I had to put a black border around it, so I didn't cut off any more of the picture than what was, because the way the picture is, there was that much of the actual picture. I didn't remove any of that.
I get what you're doing, and I think it looks fine, and you can totally see her face. That's probably the best picture of the three.
Yeah.
To see her face, because the one on the right is a little older, and it looks like that was she knew she was going to get her photo taken that day, so she did her makeup really well, all that stuff. The one on the right, she has sunglasses on, so you can really only see her mouth. The one in the middle, that's Sasha. That's who we're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. So if anybody knows anything about her, please, call the numbers on the flyer and let them know.
Do they have any leads at all on that, or is it just...
Not that I've heard.
Just missing, huh?
Yeah, I was asked. I don't remember if it was a family member or a friend of the family. I think it was a friend of the family on behalf of the family, I believe, to make the flyer. I'm not 100% sure I'm remembering that correctly, but I think that's what it was. I do so many flyers, I can't keep them all straight.
Right, yeah. All right, go ahead and tell me about Tatiana.
All right, I got to find her. There she is, Tatiana Herskind. And I've noticed some people that are commenting. Well, one person commented and said she'd been located safe. And I contacted law enforcement, and they said no, she's still listed as missing. So anyway, Tatiana Erskine is missing from Wichita. She's been missing since November 28th of 2020. She is 16 years old. She's 5'6". She weighs 135 pounds. She has black hair and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Tatiana's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9456 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And Tatiana, if you're out there listening, get a hold of somebody and let them know that you're all right and where you're at so they can come and get you back to a safe place.
And if you're the person that said that she's located safe and you talk to Ricky and you're seeing this, then you need to call and talk to law enforcement and tell them, because obviously you know something that nobody else knows. Apparently. So if you've had contact with Tatiana, you need to contact law enforcement. And nobody's saying you have to give her up, but you need to at least let them know she's contacting you and she is alive. That would be a big help.
You can do it anonymously, or if you want, you can pass the information on to me and I can keep you anonymous and pass it on for you. I've done that plenty of times. It doesn't, I don't have a problem doing that. If you want to stay anonymous, I'll keep you that way.
Yep.
So there you go.
All right, now we have let's go ahead and take a break real quick. We're going to do our located safe reel. Then we got a couple more cases for you guys. This is well, we didn't get to do our show last week because of some computer issues, and it was New Year's Eve. It was really been cool to go on and do it. That's why you're seeing a lot of cases tonight. But this is our located safe reel for this week. We love doing this for you, and we'll be right back after this. Yeah. I always like seeing the located safes. Good times.
Like seeing that. Yeah. Does my heart good to see a located safe going across the flyer.
And we'd like to appreciate everybody for stopping by tonight. Hit that, smash that share button. Let me see that. Let me look backstage. She laughing. Smash that like button. Okay, she's not laughing. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and share the show. And we have several more cases left to do. Yeah. And we have a couple unsolved homicides that are attached to each other. Do you want to do Diana first or Sarah?
Doesn't matter.
Let's go Diana now. This is a horrible situation. Let us know what's going on here.
Yeah, let me find out where I hit her flyer at. There it is. Diana Marie Alt. She was found shot to death in her home in the 19,000 block of East 9th Street in Independence, Missouri on January 31st, 1994. And her infant son and daughter toddler son, were found crying beside her body when she was found. It was determined that she was shot by a .44 Magnum revolver in her neck after returning home from watching the Super Bowl at her in-laws' house. A person of interest was developed but never charged. The same person was arrested as a suspect in the murder of Sarah Jo De Leon of Kansas City, Kansas, but was later released citing lack of evidence. If you have any information regarding Diana's murder, please call the Independence, Missouri Police Department at 816-325-7300 or the TIPS hotline at 816-474-8477. Calls to the tip line do remain anonymous.
You're telling me that moving on? Go ahead.
All right, we're going to move into Sarah Jo De Leon, who is the other part of this, and I will get into hers here.
Was this on separate days?
Yeah, different years,
Oh
as a
my
matter
God.
of fact.
Okay, go ahead and tell me, but I'm already mad, Ricky. Go ahead.
Okay. Sarah De Leon's body was discovered just before 10 o'clock in the morning on December 29th, 1989, on an isolated track of railway by Interstate 435. She had been stabbed to death, sustaining most of her injuries on her back, neck, and chest. Her car, a black Ford Mustang, had been found a few miles away earlier that morning by a patrol officer who noticed there was no blood or any sign of a struggle at that scene. There was, however, an impact scuff on the car's rear bumper. During the original investigation, police learned Sarah had been on a date with her boyfriend, Matt. I hope I'm saying this right. I don't know if it's Uland or Uland, one or the other, the night before her murder, and that she had left his house around 1:30 in the morning to drive home. A suspect was arrested and charged with her murder in 2016, but was released citing lack of evidence. The suspect was actually, I believe, the former girlfriend of Matt Uland, I believe. And he had broke up with her, and the gal took exception to that, and they believe that was the motive for Sarah Joe's murder. I'm not sure what the tie-in to Diana Altz is.
So this is a female that
Yeah.
is the suspect?
Yeah, if you research news articles, there's pictures of her name all over the place. I just didn't know if I wanted to put it on the flyers or not.
Oh my! Send it in the private chat. I'm all ears. Oh my gosh! So
Yeah,
see, this is what makes me mad, man. And again, people want to blame this on law enforcement.
right.
So Sarah Joe should not be deceased because when Diana Alt was murdered,
Mhm.
like somebody obviously did that. Nobody was arrested, and obviously a killer was set loose. And now the police believe potentially, again, we don't know anything, potentially
Mhm.
that the same person that killed Diana later went and killed Sarah Joe. So we have like the second one is on the public and kind of law enforcement. Like
Yeah,
anybody that knew anything about Diana's case and you didn't say anything to law enforcement, you didn't say what you knew. You're not your fault, but that's a big contributing factor to Sarah no longer being on this earth because people didn't say
yeah,
something when they knew something, and somebody that was dangerous was potentially still left out there to run
yeah.
amok. It
Yeah,
makes me sick to my stomach.
there's actually a little bit more to it too. I'm trying to
I'm
pull
gonna
this
go back and forth between the flyers,
article.
but just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pulling up this article real quick. Hopefully, maybe. But apparently, okay. This came from kansascity.com, which is the Kansas City Star newspaper website. It was a May 29, 2016 article. Um, they also believe that there was an abduction by deception in which the victim was tricked into leaving her home in a limousine and taken to the American Inn at 78th Street and I-70 in Kansas City, Kansas. They're asking for tips regarding that case because the circumstances are relevant to a possible prosecution in Sarah De Leon's death, the statement said. And it says we can show a pattern of behavior that links this to the De Leon homicide and other crimes, the investigator said. So apparently they believe that this abduction by deception is connected to Alt and De Leon as well. So
Definitely send me that name so I can avoid this person.
yeah.
That's too many. That's too many bodies connected to it. You hear that all in small towns. You'll hear about like we've talked about. We have several missing people that and that's what I love about the internet. Like the police, they say what they say, and that's fine. We understand that they're only going to say what they can say because they got to protect their case. But the public can say whatever they want, and when you have the things like the internet and chat rooms and message boards and stuff like that, that's where you get a lot of this information of people coming out and they'll do it anonymously. They'll be like, "I heard this." But anytime you have multiple bodies attached to a suspicious person, you cannot blame law enforcement. It is literally the lack of people that know something not saying something to law enforcement. Law enforcement can't do anything without being fed information.
Right. And this article put it that they also believe the two murders could be linked to a February 13th, 87 abduction by deception. In that case, they say a victim was tricked into leaving her home in a limousine and taken to the American at 78th Street and I-70 in Kansas City. Investigators didn't say why they believe the cases are connected, though. But so, I mean, they feel like that somehow all these cases are linked, and if it's all linked by that same individual, I mean, were they all romantic interests of somebody that this same gal may have been dating at the time, and this was her way of saying, I'm pissed off because he dumped me for you, kind of situation.
She sounds horrible, whoever this lady is.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, send me her name so I can avoid her.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, I mean, and I also want to mention too, I didn't finish her De Leon's flyer here real quick. Um, if you have any information regarding her death, call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-573-6020 or 913-596-3000. Or again, the TIPS hotline, 816-474-8477. And you can remain anonymous when you call the TIPS hotline. And each family of Sarah's and Diana's are offering a $10,000 reward for information that directly leads to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons who killed Sarah. So, if you know who did it and they're connected to both Sarah and Diana, and your information leads to the arrest and conviction of that person, you just got $20,000 because you'll get $10,000 from Sarah's family, $10,000 from Diana's family. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. There's too much out there. Our little show here covering this. There's too many details that Ricky just said. Something's gonna happen in this. Like there's just too much. And but honestly, you really have to think about it like this, folks. Sarah Jo De Leon should still be here. I mean, Diana really should be here still too. But after Diana Alt died and we had a potential suspect, that's a pattern of behavior. That's something that we're gonna totally not want to ignore. That's something that's big deal. So
Right.
if you know somebody did something, anytime, every second you spend not reporting that, it could potentially have another victim in your hands. It's
Right.
like you never know. You ready to go on to Colt, man?
Sure.
All right, we're going to talk about Colt Haynes.
Okay. Gotta find him here. There's so many on my screen. Dang it. Oh, there he is. Sorry about that, folks. Colt Rydell Haynes is missing from Wilson, Oklahoma. Been missing since July 7th of 2013. He was 21 when he went missing. He would be 28 now. He is 5'10", 190, brown hair and blue eyes. He was last known to be in a 2012 Honda Accord with Molly Miller, who I'll be covering shortly, and who's still missing, and Con Nip, who was the driver of the car. It is known that they were in Wilson, Oklahoma on the night of July 7th at approximately 10:30 p.m., at which point Con Nip instigated a chase with Wilson, Oklahoma Police Department when he did a donut right in front of an officer, which my understanding is he is known to instigate these things. The chase proceeded to County Line Road, where Love County picked up pursuit. The pursuit continued on to Long Hollow Road, where officers were advised to block off Long Hollow Road, which is a dead-end road. Love County says they were dusted out and lost sight of the car. Had they continued to the end, they would have caught him, since there is a gate there that they would have had to stop and open to continue on. The car was found 2 weeks later in a field where the pursuit ended. My understanding from, again, the guys with Adventures in Purpose, they're taking up investigating on this case as well, and they're going to be doing some waterway searches in that area, and they're going to have a cadaver dog handler with his cadaver dogs out there also in the upcoming months to do a search for them as well. And understanding is, like I said, Con Nip has a history of instigating these chases and things like that. And his uncle was the sheriff in that area in that area at the time. And his uncle was investigated by the FBI for corruption and eventually taken down for corruption. And I'm not sure if he's still in prison or not, but I know he was in prison for the corruption end of it. And Con was known to have been selling drugs both out of his uncle's home as well as a squad car. So, yeah, a lot going on down there. But apparently the car was wrecked at the end of that chase. Con fled the car, leaving Molly and Colt in the car. I guess Colt did sustain an ankle injury of some sort. They did try to call for help to get somebody to come out and find them, which they weren't found or anything like that. But yeah, it's just a strange deal. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff going on down there in that point in time, and anybody that lived in that area along Longfell, I guess Nip had family living along Love. Let's see, I'm trying to think of the name of the road again. Love County and Long Hollow Road. That's it, Long Hollow Road. When law enforcement approached them to search their property, if it was anybody related to Con Nip or that sheriff, they nope, you're not searching my property. So they didn't get a chance to really search those properties very well or at all. But I guess this one waterway that Adventures with Purpose is talking about searching is on somebody else's property. So I guess they've been granted access to be able to go ahead and go search that. So in the upcoming months, they're going to return to Oklahoma as well as over in Linwood, or over in Randy Lee's case as well to look for Randy. But they're going to be involved in Molly Miller and Colt Haynes' case as well. But if you have any information regarding Colt's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Wilson, Oklahoma Police Department at 580-668-2136 or the Carter County, Oklahoma Sheriff's Department at 580-223-6014 or the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation at 405-848-6724. And hopefully, the guys with Adventures with Purpose, Jared and Sam the Adventure Man, and Dan, hopefully they can make some headway on these cases and get investigators going in the right direction. As there again, it's been 7 years.
And is the next case the same?
Yeah, Miss Molly Miller.
We had two in a row that were connected.
Yeah, Molly was riding in the car with Colt and with.
So 3 people were in a high-speed chase.
Yeah,
the car takes off. They lose the car. How quickly did they find the guy that's not dead? I mean, not dead. I didn't mean to say that. How the guy that's not missing?
Yeah, he fled the car and went home, and basically. So,
the car lost the police, and then after he lost the police, his story is he just went home after he lost the police by himself.
Yeah.
And then they found the car on that same general area where they were out.
Yep.
Here's a question for you, Ricky. Do we know for sure that both of those 2 people were actually in that car?
As far as I know, that was the last reported place they were known to be.
Because I mean, you hear the face value of this case.
Mm-hmm.
3 people are in a high-speed chase. The car ends up getting away from the police, and then they find the car later on with 2 people missing. One person just walked home, no problems. Mm-hmm. And so you would think that just an aerial search of the area, how far can 2 people get, and however long the car was there on foot. Well, I guess the other guy walked home, so I guess they could have kind of got anywhere.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like if something was like fishy. Like, how do you hide something like that fishy when the last place you're coming from is a high speed chase? Like, how could you be prepared to do a cover up at that? I don't know. It's the whole thing's kind of weird.
Right. Yep, it is weird. But yeah, Molly Miller, she was been missing since July 8, 2013 with Colt, and she was 17 at the time. She'd be 24 now. 5'5", 95 pounds, black hair, dyed, and blue eyes. Basically, it's same scenario. She was last known to be in a 2012 Honda Accord with Colt Haynes and Con Nip. It's known that they were in Wilson, Oklahoma on the night of July 7th at approximately 10:30, at which point Con instigated the chase with Wilson PD when he did a donut in front of him, which, like I said, he's got a history of doing that. The chase proceeded to County Line Road, where Love County picked up pursuit. The pursuit continued on to Long Hollow Road, where the officers were advised to block off Long Hollow, which is a dead end. Love County said they were dusted out and lost sight of the car. If they would have continued on down the road, they would have caught up to him. Since there's a gate, they would have had to have stopped to open up to keep going. The car was found 2 weeks later in a field where the pursuit ended. At 12:57 a.m., Molly called 911. It was a 5-second phone call. Dispatch called her right back with no response. No one was ever dispatched to the area to check out the call. The call came into Marietta Dispatch. It is known that her phone pinged off towers between Pike and Long Hollow Road. If you have any information regarding Molly's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, call the Wilson, Oklahoma Police Department at 580-668-2136 or the OSBI at 405-848-6724. And hopefully, like I say, Jared and Dan and Sam, hopefully they can find something while they're down there searching for Molly and Colt, as well as Randy when they're over taking a look at his case also.
Yeah, that's awesome. They're going to look at that. So let me ask you this, and you might not know. I'm just, this is how we do these shows. I ask Ricky questions because he knows more than me.
Yeah.
So the guy that was driving, I guess, and then walked home.
Yeah.
What's his story?
He's got an extensive criminal record, and like I said, he's the nephew of the guy that was a sheriff that went down for corruption down there.
But I mean, what's his story about? Yeah, the car broke down or whatever, and I just left, and they were there, and I left. Like, what's his story with the last time he saw them?
I guess that was basically his story, was that he fled the car and left them there, and he hadn't seen them since. I guess I was, watching one of the videos with Adventures with Purpose and Profiling Evil, because they're kind of working together a little bit there. And apparently, I believe it's Molly's aunt approached Khan at his house and asked him about Molly and Colt, and he said that he couldn't say because he didn't want to go to jail. So, I don't know.
And he's a son of law enforcement,
nephew
of not only law enforcement but former corrupt law enforcement.
Yeah, sheriff that was taken down by the FBI for corruption.
That's a hard case to win, because who knows how much evidence was destroyed.
Yeah.
Who knows how. You never know. And then you say you come into a town, you find out the sheriff's corrupt. Okay, you take him out. Well, generally, if you have a corrupt sheriff, it takes a couple more corrupt people in the program to hold them up and support the bull crap. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's not. I think if you have a sheriff, the boss of a precinct, being corrupt, I think that's one where you kind of have to go in and do an entire inventory of who all's there and what the records are. But the thing is, it's all time and money. Like, we don't really have time or resources to do like these extensive investigations on like policing the police, And I'm one of the way that thinks we need to do that. I think everything needs to be policed a little bit, but it's just one of those things: time and money, and the infrastructure to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've linked the Profiling Evil and Adventures with Purpose videos regarding these cases, both Colt and Molly's and Randy's, in the comments on their flyers. So if you scroll down and find their flyers, you'll find the links to the episodes on YouTube where they talk about these cases very extensively. The one that I did for Randy is the one where Profiling Evil and Adventures with Purpose are actually talking with Randy's parents. And they go into great detail regarding Randy's case and everything, way more than I could go into.
Yeah. But that's important. People need to know this stuff.
So yeah, it's really worth watching. It really is.
All right. Well, we got a couple more cases for you guys. We want to really thank you for sticking around.
Yeah.
We got about 20 minutes left in the show. Sarah's running the show backstage.
Yeah,
okay, so Sarah's hanging out. Okay, so and she's also has a toddler who's driving her insane while she's running the show. So it's working out for her.
Yeah,
welcome to 2021.
Kind of going back and forth from the camera. So
I think I think she's like yelling at a kid or something. No, he's trying to go to bed, and what kid wants to go to bed? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so tell us about Taylor Ollinger.
All right, that was actually one that I did today, as a matter of fact.
Wow, it is brand new.
Yeah. She's missing from Olathe, Kansas. Been missing since January 4th of this year. She's 17 years old. She's 5'8", 180 pounds, dark brown hair, and green eyes. It's believed that she may be on her way to or in Waterloo, Iowa with her boyfriend. She has a black 2013 Chrysler 200 with tinted windows. The car currently has a Kansas temporary tag on it that does expire in February. If you have any information regarding Taylor's disappearance or of her whereabouts, please call the Olathe, Kansas Police Department at 913-971-7500 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And I'm not sure. I looked on KBI last night to see if the boyfriend was listed, because I do have his name, but he's not listed. So I'm taking that to mean that he may be an adult, possibly, or he just hasn't been reported yet. I don't know. But yeah. But Taylor, if you're out there watching or you see this by chance, let somebody know where you're at so they can come get you and bring you back. I had somebody comment on her flyer that how different she looks in each picture, and she actually kind of does. Yeah, You can tell the one on the far left is definitely filtered, obviously, which not a big fan of filters or Facebook, Instagram effects because it really takes away from what that person really does look like. Now, the ones on I'd like to think the third one and the fourth one on the right side are more natural pictures of her. The second one might be, but I think third and fourth are definitely are.
Well, that's a fresh case, so obviously we want to get that out there. Plenty of angles, plenty of different versions of her. You have the filter version. You have some of the pictures. It looks like she just caught her when she was hanging out around the house. A little bit of in between. So this is who we're looking for. 17 years old, missing for one day, but and missing for any amount of time at the age of 17 is any age. People don't know where you are for a day. That's scary. So obviously, let's share this on the page. It is shared on the page, and go ahead and share that. Tell us about Justin Lamar Green.
Yeah, he's one that I had somebody message me and ask me if there were any updates, and I did some checking, and he's still actively missing from Rossville, Kansas since April 30th of 2019. So closing in on 2 years this coming April. He was 39 when he went missing. He would be 40 now. He was 5'9" tall, 235 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. Justin's family last heard from him by phone. They are worried about Justin because he does suffer from mental and emotional issues. He was last known to be in the Kansas City area, but also visits the Topeka area frequently. He also goes by the names Justin J. Green or Justin J. Verde. If you have any information regarding Justin's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Rossville, Kansas Police Department at 785-584-6047 or KBI at 785-296-4017. Sorry about my phone.
Every week, man. Well, it's just a part of the show at this point. So disappeared about a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So, is there any leads on this one? Is it just he just disappeared or vanished out of thin air, or was there any kind of thing crazy going on in his life leading up to his disappearance? Or
that I don't honestly know. I wasn't given that information when I made the flyer a year ago. Really, the only thing I nailed down on it was the actual date that he was missing. Since initially it was just April 2019. I was able to actually nail it down to April 30th. So,
okay,
but yeah, if anybody knows what happened to him or where he's at or where he might be, call law enforcement and let him know, and let's get him brought home. He's got family that's worried about him and wanting him home. Justin, if you're out there and you by chance see this, let your family know where you're at and that you're all right.
Yeah.
And I believe we have one more.
One more.
Yeah, Maggie D's.
Okay.
Didn't you grab her? Yep, you did.
Yep,
okay. That's one I did today as well. She's missing from Wellington, Kansas. Been missing since January 4th of this year, so since yesterday. She's 18 years old. She's 5'3" to 5'4". She weighs 125 to 145 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. She is known to diet frequently. KBI actually has her listed with, I believe, blonde or strawberry, I believe. And she has brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Maggie's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Wellington, Kansas Police Department at 620-326-3331 or KBI at 785-296-4017.
Brand new too, January 4th.
Yeah.
Busy couple of weeks in Kansas, folks. Way too many people missing. We have way too many crimes that are, and as far as unsolved crimes, we just barely touched the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, every missing person case could be a potential crime. Nobody knows. Nobody's talked to this person.
That's true.
So way too much. I feel like we hit you with a lot tonight, but those are the folks that we're looking for right now. So if you have any information, at least call the KBI. Ricky, go ahead and give them that number.
Yeah, 785-296-4017. And thank you to everybody that stuck around through the whole show. I know it was kind of a little bit longer than usual, but we did have a lot to go over.
Yeah.
thank you everybody for hanging around.
For sure.
Greatly appreciated. And hopefully the next show that we do, I should have my hard drive issue resolved and shouldn't be an issue.
And again, if anybody wants to help Ricky with those issues he's having, patreon.com/KMUpod. You'll become a team member at that point. He'll give you some there'll be some perks to it. There'll be some updates on there. We're gonna help him get that going. Some personal videos from Ricky. I'm gonna make him. Ricky cries, folks, when he gets sentimental. So we'll do like a cry reel. We'll have Ricky talk about a bunch of stuff that he's really like proud of and emotional of, and then that'll be like a Patreon thing. No, I'm just kidding. No, but the Patreon's a place where Ricky can like sort of just talk to the people that help him out, be on the team, and you can really help the show out and help Ricky out, and that all 100% goes to Ricky. Is there anything else you wanted to cover tonight, Rick?
Mary, you are very welcome. Thank you for being with us tonight. Greatly appreciated. It's greatly appreciate everybody that tunes in and shares and likes and retweets and watches it on YouTube, because we are simulcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
But the Twitter thing is ending soon. I think Sarah told me that Periscope is no more.
Oh, really?
So,
well, that does not
March, she said. Yeah, so we'll have it till March. Yeah.
And I'll just have to post the Facebook or YouTube links on Twitter so people can catch.
I'm assuming Twitter will have some type of answer for that. Because Sarah's show, Easy Out Podcast, she's saying March 31st over here in the private chat. There's Easy Out Podcast. The majority of its listeners watch on Periscope because she has most of her audience on Twitter. So,
oh wow.
So okay. So they have Twitter has a new program called Media Studio, but right now it's invite only. So,
oh wow.
Hopefully we'll get on that program as soon as we can when it becomes available. Cool. And yeah, that'd be really cool. Get back on Twitter.
I'm past due for a haircut, by the way.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
Yeah. Can't complain though.
No.
I almost hate to get it cut now. It's growing out so nice and everything.
I think you need to grow it out.
Yeah. Maybe I can make it on one of Sarah's nice hair broadcasts.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
All right.
Well, I can't think of anything else I really want to cover. Tonight was a lot to cover.
Yeah. Check out the podcast, folks. Go to any podcast platform. Spreaker. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe to the channel. Mm-hmm. And if you're on Spotify, make sure you follow any podcast platform you're on. We are trying to get on TuneIn, so that's what we're working on next. And if there's any podcast platforms that you don't see that we're on, let us know. We'll try to get on those podcast platforms. Shout out to Sarah Rogers, our producer. You can check her out on Thursday nights, Easy Out Podcast, 9 p.m. Central on Thursday nights. And it's a live stream. Excuse me. So it's a great show, and it's worth checking out. Ricky, you got anything else?
No, not that I can think of off the top of my brain right now.
You know what to do, man.
Yeah, just if you guys have any case suggestions that we haven't covered, or you want to see covered again, or you have a missing person that comes up in your family, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Let me know. I'll get a flyer made and post it for you. And you guys, I tell everybody when I make a flyer for them, please feel free to share it, print it, post it, wherever. And in the case of David Wade Harris Jr. In Fredonia over there, I was told the day that I made it that it was being printed and circulated just as soon as I got it done and posted. So they were handing it out left and right and posted it left and right. So that's what I like to hear is, I can't be everywhere. So, I'd like to see people in each community where these people are missing, go ahead and print these things out and post them around their town and get them out there, because they do help. All the shares on Facebook and Twitter and everything help too. Mm-hmm. But it also helps to get them in the gas stations and the grocery stores and truck stops and bus depots and airports. It helps to get them and posted in all those places. So, please do that.
Yeah. Well, heck of a show, man. Sarah, the producer, will be on sleradio.com, spinning some music. They're offering her a show over there. She's producing tonight, so she'll be over there. If you're night owl, which I want to be soon. I want to go back to the night shift, but that's another show. But anyway, Ricky, you know what to say, man.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back. Let's see, a week from Thursday. Yeah, a week from, as he says, Tuesday. So it'll be a week from this Thursday. We'll be back with the next show 39. Can I believe we're getting ready to come up on the 40th show here pretty soon? But anyway, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you the next show. Until then, stay safe. God bless. Take care, and we will see you then.
Well, I don't think and I thought it, that's different. I said what I said and I meant it, or lamented. Words given weight without thought in a person, the way that I talk and the way that I ought to be able to pause and to say that the ball can be placed on my arms. I display for assault to disgrace in its arm. Pray for the day they could wait for the calm. You can't control the storm, only weather it, whether it's 5 weeks and 5 days of rain sideways, or scorched earth, search for death, or water left with all the thorns, with the petals gone, settle on the breath of